Any further comments, questions from the brother? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Myself Mohammad Noor. My question is that on that show there was a question asked to Maulana Madni, what about Vande Mataram? And the answer given by him was not satisfied. What is your opinion about Vande Mataram? And just explain us the translation of Vande Mataram. Jazakallahu khair.
As far as the answer given by Maulana Madini on Vande Mataram, it was correct. It was a short answer he had to give. He said that to force anyone to say Vande Mataram is wrong, it is his opinion. So the answer was right, though because it was, in short, it may not be the complete answer which he may be having a longer version. Being a talk show, he gave a short version. So what he said that, you cannot force anyone to say anything because India is a free country. So based on that, I agree on that part. As far as the view on Vande Mataram means I bow down to the motherland. Vande, bow down, Mataram, to my motherland. Based on this saying that I bow down to my motherland, leave aside what Islam says. Even according to Hindu scriptures, what we believe, that in the Hindu scripture, if you read, it's clearly mentioned in the Hindu scripture. In Sveta Upanishad, chapter number 4, verse number 19, Natasya Pratimasti. Pratima in Sanskrit means an image, a photograph, a picture, a painting, a portrait, a sculpture, an idol. Almighty God has got no pratima, has got no image, has got no picture, has got no portrait, has got no painting, has got no statue, has got no idol, has got no sculpture. So based on this, Almighty God can't have an image according to the Hindu scripture. Same is repeated in Yajurved, chapter number 32, verse number 3. Natasya Pratimasti, of that God, there is no image. So based on this, in Hinduism also making an image of God is wrong. So saying that this motherland is like your God and you bow down is wrong even according to Hindu scriptures. And in Islam, it's very clear that we can bow down to no one but our Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As far as our country is concerned, we as Muslims, we love the country, we respect the country, but we don't bow down to the country. Not only in India, we cannot even bow down in Pakistan to that country. We cannot bow down in Saudi Arabia also. So it's not only to India. If a Muslim is living in Saudi Arabia and he's a Saudi national, he cannot bow down to Saudi Arabia. A Pakistani cannot bow down to Pakistan. So it's not only to India, because we bow down only to our God, our Creator. We cannot bow down even to our own mother. Leave aside motherland. The woman who gave us birth, who's our mother. We cannot bow down to our own mother. So where is the question of bowing down to the motherland? We love the country. We respect the country. Our country has given us many opportunities. But we cannot equate our country, neither our own mother, to our Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So based on this, according to Islam and according to Hinduism, saying that we bow down to our country and calling our country as good as God, which is mentioned Vande Mataram several times, it is totally wrong.
Before we ask the next question to the audience, one or two emails. The Muhammad Shaban, he says, yeah, even I think Dr. Naik shouldn't have been a part of the show. But Allah knows the best. Allah does best for His ummah. Maybe something good is there yet to come related to the show. Or may even Dr. Zakir Naik can arrange a session where he can reply to all the comments and questions made in this show. Jazakallah. And we have Shamaima Ali who says, they didn't give him a chance, but inshallah Allah will support him. We are behind you, Dr. Zakir Naik, all the way. This is your chance. You can put forward questions to him. Yes, brother.
Vis-a-vis the program, We the People, and Shah Rukh Khan emphasized the need to explain Islam to other people. In this context, how is it incumbent on every Muslim to spread the message of Islam, and how?
Shah Rukh Khan, as far as this question is concerned, he said it's required for the Muslims to explain Islam to others, and I agree with that. It's compulsory for every Muslim to convey the message of Islam. It is fard. It's mentioned several places of the Quran, including Surah Al-Imran, chapter number 3, verse number 110, where it's mentioned in the Quran, Kuntum khaira ummatin ukhrijat linnas. We are the best of people evolved for mankind. The Muslims are called as the best of people. And the reason is given, because we enjoin what is good and forbid what is wrong. Ta'miruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. We are called as the best of people for the whole of humankind because we enjoin what is good and forbid what is wrong, and we believe in Allah. So the reason Almighty God is calling us the best amongst all the peoples is because we have to convey the message of truth. Call people towards the truth, enjoin them to the truth, and forbid them from doing wrong. So it's compulsory on the Muslims. And there are several other verses in the Quran, like Surah Al-Asr, chapter number 103, verse number 1 to 3, which says, one of the criteria to go to Jannah is to call people towards the truth.
Any brother? Yes, brother.
After the show, I read a comment on Twitter, on SRK, Shah Rukh Khan's Twitter, that he said that post-show he had some discussion with you, and he has mentioned that after a post-show I had a discussion with Dr. Zakir Naik and it was very enlightening. I would like to know what was that enlightening session with Dr. Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes, after the show was over, I did chat with Shah Rukh Khan for about half an hour, and it was a very good experience. I cannot discuss everything because many things were personal. It would be wrong on me to say in public. I was meeting for the first time. It was the first time I met him personally, though there are some common friends who are his friends and my friends. But this is the first time meeting him personally. And one thing is for sure, that I am happy that I maintained my policy of not to just rely on the news. But before the show, and which everyone may be aware, that it comes in the media, many people, many of my friends have told, Shah Rukh Khan is not a practicing Muslim and he's not happy to be a Muslim, and he normally gives comments against Islam and he does this and that. I personally have not heard it personally on the television. I have not heard because I watch television very little. But because it were comments, I followed the verse of the Quran. Quran says in Surah Hujurat chapter 49 verse number 6 that whenever you get a message, check it up before you pass it on to the third person. The same thing what I use whether anyone asking comment, like Barkhadat asked me on Osama bin Laden. I said, I don't know. Same thing, even though hearing negative comments of Shah Rukh Khan, I always said, Allahu Alam. But what I heard him saying on the show, I'm not talking the chat after the show, what I heard him on the show, I felt, irrespective whether he's practicing or not, but his answers were far better than most of the Muslims on the show. Not counting, of course, Maulana Mahmud Madni, he's a close friend of mine. MashaAllah, he's a practicing Muslim. But leaving aside him, what answers he gave compared to all the other Muslims on the show, his answers were more correct. And he rightly agreed, saying that, that though he does film acting and singing and dancing, he says it is haram. That was good of him. And he says that he has less knowledge. But he also said that for correct knowledge, you should ask the scholars and the ulamas and the maulanas. So his answers were far superior than the other people who were Muslim in the talk show. And after the show, one comment I'd like to make, that while discussing on the issue of Muslim identity, he asked me, Dr. Zakir Naik, he said, Dr. Zakir Sahab, what is your view? How important is it to keep a beard and wear the cap? So giving an analogy, that it wasn't a talk show, there was no Barkhadat. So I could explain to Brother Shah Rukh Khan more easily and, without any interruption. So I told him that when you appear for an examination, there are some questions which have 1 mark, some questions have 10 marks, some questions have 20 marks. The Muslim identity, wearing the cap and the beard, though it's not of utmost importance, but it is important, it may carry maybe 1 mark. Behaving, practically being honest, speaking the truth, these points about Islam, the practice, may carry 10 marks, may carry 5 marks. So, though keeping a beard is not the most important, you can miss the 1 marks and concentrate on the 10 marks and 5 marks and 20 marks. But if someone wants to score distinction, he will try and even get this 1 mark. For example, when we appeared for the medical examination, we tried even to get that half mark because we want to score above 90. So when you want to score above 90, this is very important. Beard is important and cap is important. It's a part of the sunnah. But if someone doesn't keep a beard, you cannot say that he's not a Muslim. You cannot say he's not a Muslim, doesn't sport a beard or doesn't wear a cap. But, you have given a very good analogy. So you like the example that it is important, but may carry 1 mark, 2 marks. The more important is the amal. The other things about being honest, about offering salah, not doing shirk. This is of more importance. And as I mentioned even in my answer in the talk show, that if a person does not keep a beard, it doesn't come in the 70 major sins. There is a scholar by the name of Imam al-Dhahabi, and he has listed the 70 major sins in Islam. First being the shirk, then being murder, going down the line. But the beard doesn't appear. That does not mean it's not a sin. Some scholars say that it is a sunnah, mustahab. That's encouraging. Some scholars say that it is farz to keep a beard. But whatever it is, no one puts it in the major sin. Either it's a minor sin or it's a very important sunnah. So it's not part of the major sin. Hope that answers.
That's a good clarification. May we have my brother put forward this question? May we have your name and profession, please?
I'm Obed Khan. In that program on NDTV, Shah Rukh Khan had made a comment that for a Muslim, to look like a Muslim is not important, but to feel like a Muslim is important. I would like to hear your comment on that.
To look like a Muslim, I would say, is not the most important. But to feel like a Muslim, again, feeling may be different as I gave the earlier answer. That being honest is more important than wearing a beard and wearing the cap. But being honest and wearing the cap and the beard is much better than only being honest without the beard. But a person who's proud to be a Muslim would always like to show that he's a Muslim. So if you're proud to be a Muslim, for example, when a person passes medical degree, he becomes a doctor. When he gets MBBS degree, and he puts a doctor in front of his name. Why? Because he's proud to be a doctor. The person who's proud to be a Muslim, he would be proud to show that he's a Muslim. And this is one of the labels that the Muslim has. That is wearing a beard and wearing a cap. Hope that answers the question.
Two comments before I put forward questions you could ask. We have Shahjini Ibrahim Hassan Sidhi. He asks, in fact, they fear the young Zakir sir. They need to show their beliefs is right. They don't think that Islam is most growing religion without the help of the media. Allah knows best. Then we have Brother Akib who says, I'm a practicing Muslim and I have myself been subjected to typification and biases many a time. But I feel NDTV and Burqa are one of the best things around. I agree Zakir Naik should have been given more time to speak, but it's a short time show and all is not possible. Shah Rukh has spoken most wisely and said what Islam actually says, except one or 2 points which we all are humans are bound to err. Kudos to NDTV and Burqa, but yeah, KK, Padamsi, VC, Jamia and Soha spoke their whims.
As I said that what he spoke about Islam was far better than most of the other Muslims in the show. And but natural, the view that the people normally have, I don't know what he is or not, but when I spoke to him after the show and what I heard the answer in the show, and when I spoke after the show, at least what I experienced, at least he is not at all feeling apologetic to be a Muslim. He is happy to be a Muslim, unlike what people portray. So at least my opinion about him, good, I did not agree with the opinion of the others. I may be wrong, people may know him better than me, I've only met him once, but what I heard live on the talk show and what I had a discussion after the show, at least my opinion about him is that fine, he agrees he does something wrong, but he is proud to be a Muslim and he would love to learn more about Islam, and that is what Islam always believes, that not to just hear what people say, but at least my opinion about him is that not what people talk about him. When I met him personally, he was a different person.
Yes, brother. Yeah, welcome.
Shah Rukh Khan again and again, but of late I have observed that that is what he says, that he is offering namaz and he plans to go for Hajj inshallah this year. Was it, I don't know, it's because of interaction with you or what has made him, Allah has given him hidayah to pray namaz. Now he is often tweeting that I'm going for namaz. And he says that this year I intend to go for Hajj inshallah ta'ala. May Allah give him good hidayah.
I don't know, but I do know that there are common friends between him and me. And he has confessed with me that he has seen many of my DVDs. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may give hidayah to all of us and may get us closer to the truth of Islam.
Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Zakir bhai, in the show, Kabir Khan made a comment saying that, if a mother is wearing hijab and the daughter adopts this habit of the mother, then this is not free will. But if the mother is not wearing a hijab and the daughter adopts this habit of wearing a hijab, this is free will. Do you accept this definition of free will given by Kabir Khan?
This definition will be applicable to some people, especially to Kabir Khan. Because Kabir Khan, he told that he was born in a Muslim family. I think maybe that is the reason he's calling himself a Muslim. Maybe he has no free will. If he had a free will, he would have said he's not a Muslim. So this definition does agree to him that he has not been given a free will. Therefore, though being born a Muslim family, he calls himself a Muslim. So this definition does apply to him, and it feels that he had no free will to say he's not a non-Muslim, if I agree with it. As far as normally what we see, that there are many of the children who follow their parents. I do agree most of them do it by blind belief. If the father is a Hindu, the children are Hindu. If the parents are Muslim, the children are Muslim. If parents are Christian, the children are Christian. I do agree to a great extent that many do blind belief, but some of them question their parents. Some of them may do because it's part of religion, some may do because it is part of culture. But many children, they question their parents. And after questioning their parents, they may get convinced what their parents are doing right, and they may continue. So these people now, out of free will, they are continuing what their parents are doing. Some people question their parents and they aren't convinced, and yet they continue doing it, maybe because of peer pressure, maybe because they're afraid that they cannot go against their parents. But on the other hand, some people who, when they question their parents and they aren't convinced, then they change their ideology and they change their behavior. So these people, again, out of free will, they're changing. So you can't say for sure that just because the mother is wearing a hijab, the daughter wears, that means no free will. And if mother doesn't wear hijab and then daughters wear, then it's free will. This is totally wrong. But even if I agree with Kabir, in the Islam Research Foundation, there are hundreds or maybe 1,000 girls who are not wearing hijab and their mothers don't wear hijab, but after coming to our foundation, hundreds and thousands of them, within few weeks or couple of months, they have started wearing hijab. So if his definition that if the mother doesn't wear and the daughters wear means free will, so by free will, in Bombay itself, only coming by a foundation, hundreds and thousands have started wearing hijab. And furthermore, many of the ladies, after watching my programs on the satellite channel, maybe hundreds and thousands of them have started wearing hijab. Not in India, throughout the world. So if this is his definition of free will, then alhamdulillah, when these logical people, when they hear the logical reason why hijab should be worn. So unfortunately, I do agree that the majority in India, they wear hijab as part of culture, or they wear hijab because it's a religion, without knowing the reason. Some of them, after learning the reason, they continue. But the point to be noted is that if we convince the youngsters and the ladies with reason, logic and science why hijab is worn, and the reason of hijab in Islam is to protect the woman, then I feel majority, if not all, the ladies who are logical, they will wear the hijab. That's the reason. There are many non-Muslims accepting Islam throughout the world. And amongst the people accepting Islam, whether India or abroad, 2/3 of them are women. So if hijab subjugates the woman, then why are the American women who are accepting Islam? Why are the European women who are accepting Islam, they are adopting hijab? So hijab is there to protect the woman, and everyone has a right to agree or disagree. And based on that, but if you speak logically and if you explain Islam to them logically, I feel majority of the humans will agree with the points that I mentioned in Islam.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir. We have 2-3 comments, on the web. We have Mehnaz Chi, who says, I completely agree. Dr. Naik deserves to be in a better place, and the lady, Barkha, seemed to have no knowledge of who Dr. Naik is.
I disagree with that statement.
Dr. Zakir disagrees.
Barkha Dutt will surely be knowing who I am. That is the reason they had me on the show. That is the reason when she spoke to me the first time in the show, she said that you come on TV more than me.
Alhamdulillah.
And when she asked the third question, she said that I know that you love answering questions from the audience. So I disagree with that statement that she doesn't know me. She knew me, but she being an expert moderator, she really moderated, not with honesty, but she had a point of view. And as I said earlier, that it depends upon the integrity and the sincerity of the moderator and the producer to project the people who are there on the show.
I think the sister's misunderstanding stands corrected. We have Nadia Jamal, who says, I totally agree. Dr. Zakir hardly was given the chance to speak, and Brother Zakir in future should avoid sharing the stage with Jahil Muslims, especially like Soha Ali Khan and Kabir Khan, who don't even know what Islam is all about, and were arguing that Muslim lady wears hijab only if she sees her mother wearing it. I have no idea in what kind of a world they are living. New generation are more practicing than their parents. I believe, alhamdulillah. And truly I found Soha and Kabir highly disgusting. They are not Muslim. So why to call them for discussions on Muslims? And lastly, we have Arshad Hussain Sheikh, who says, Lady Barkha is a commercial commodity and so is SRK, Kabir, Soha and Karan. Don't these guys seriously, folks? Little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Their opinions don't make a tiny bit difference towards what Islam and Muslims stand for. There is no other interpretation of Islam and a Muslim other than what is said in the Holy Quran. See more Quran and the Hadith. Either you are in or you are out of the circle. There is no room for so-called moderate or liberal Islam or a Muslim, and there is no such word called extremist or fundamentalist, rightly said by Dr. Zakir, that either you practice or you don't. Simple as that. I think Dr. Zakir would like to comment something on that.
The person has given the right analogy.
Maybe what I'm just putting across is straightforward comments, of the people. Some may be right, some may not be right, but that is their opinion.
I say you either say he's a Muslim or a pseudo-Muslim. Muslim or pseudo-Muslim. Or you can say who is a practicing Muslim, partially practicing Muslim, or non-practicing Muslim. So non-practicing Muslim can be called a pseudo-Muslim, right terminology. There's nothing like moderate Muslim. No, Muslims, if he's a Muslim, he's moderate. And you can't say a person is an extremist Muslim. And I say I'm an extremist Muslim. I'm extremely kind, I'm extremely merciful, I'm extremely loving, I'm extremely just, I'm extremely honest. So to be a practicing Muslim, you have to be an extremist. You can't say I am partially honest. When it benefits me, I'm honest. When it does not benefit, I'm not honest. So these are terminologies, loose terminologies made by people and how it has evolved. So these loose terminologies used by the media, extremist and fundamentalist, these, if you go back into history, they were used for somebody else earlier. If you've heard my talk on terrorism and jihad, etc., and I've clarified that this word fundamentalist was first used for the Christians. Those who believe that the message of the Bible is not from God, every word, every letter is from God. And now today, in the new definition of Oxford Dictionary, the fundamentalist means a person who strictly adheres to the ancient teachings of any religion. The new definition is slightly changed, that fundamentalist is a person who strictly adheres to the ancient doctrines of religion, especially Islam. So though it was used in the early part of the 20th century for the Christians, today it's used for the Muslims. So this is how they keep on changing. But really fundamental is the person who follows the fundamentals. So if you have to be a good Muslim, you have to follow the fundamentals of Islam. If you have to be a good Hindu, you have to follow the fundamentals of Hinduism. If you have to be a good mathematician, you have to follow the fundamentals of mathematics.
Jazakallah, brother Zakir. Any further questions from brothers here? Yes, brother, we'll just ask. Then we'll come back on the front.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My name is Farhan and I'm a student. Kabir Khan alleged that the definition of Islam that you gave was too narrow. So I would like to know your comments on that. Like, does the definition of Islam, what you said, does it change or it remains the same?
The brother asked that Kabir Khan said that definition of Islam is very narrow. I said Islam means a person who submits his will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you want to know the meaning of a word, any word, where do you look? Look in the dictionary. If you want to know the meaning of any English word, you go to dictionary. You don't just say it off the cuff. And if you want to verify whether the person has said right or wrong, go to dictionary. So you open any Arabic dictionary. Islam comes from the root word salam, which means peace, or salam, which means peace. It's also derived from the Arabic word silm, which means to submit your will to God. Submit. So Islam actually means peace acquired by submitting your will to God. And anyone who submits his will to God is called as a Muslim. So this is an Arabic word. I don't know how much does Kabir Khan know about Arabic. So a person who does not know Arabic, you ask him the meaning of Arabic word, it is like the person said, you're asking a driver about the treatment of medical disease. I don't know how much Arabic does Kabir Khan know. And what right does he have to comment on Arabic word which he doesn't know. So this is how the media, a person doesn't know Arabic and asking the meaning of an Arabic word. So what we realize that if you want to know, you go to the authentic sources. And the best definition to know about Muslim is go to the Quran. Quran says that many places about Muslim, Muslim means one a person who bows to the will of Allah. In Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 verse 64 and many other places. Hope that's it.
Yes. Any further questions? Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Aman Bukhari. Barkha Dutt doubted your reply, which you had tried to give about the Talibans and how the American media, they manipulate the public. And according to her, CNN and BBC are the gospels for her. Now, the very same CNN and BBC had said that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, and this was being relayed on these channels day after day, week after week, and months after months. And in spite of America invading Iraq, it was not able to find any weapons of mass destruction. My question to Barkha Dutt is, come on Barkha Dutt, where is your answer to this? Where are the weapons of mass destruction? Your comments please, sir.
These examples can be given in scores, and I do agree with you. Not that I am a fan of Saddam Hussein. Neither do I say that Saddam Hussein is a practicing Muslim. But you know, America attacks Iraq and puts a sanction embargo that no medicine, no food should go there, because of which more than 500,000 children were killed because of the sanction, putting sanctions. Who's to blame? And when they attack Iraq, they don't find any weapons of mass destruction. Who's to blame? I would blame George Bush. It is clear. Why can't she read between the lines? And she's a woman of the media. Or maybe, I don't know why she... It's very evident that even when Saddam Hussein was arrested, he had a trial, inverted commas, whether just, I don't know. Irrespective what he has done, in Islam we have to give a fair chance to the person who is the culprit or the person who you think is responsible. I doubt whether he was given a free chance. Fine, I do agree he has done many evils, maybe, but surely there was no proof of weapons of mass destruction. No proof. And has anyone condemned George Bush? Fine. I know later on many people did say that he's terrorist number one. And when the survey came in America and throughout the world, who is terrorist number one? Is it Bin Laden? Is it Saddam Hussein? Or is it George Bush? And do you know, in all the polls, whether conducted in America or UK or throughout the world, George Bush, he swept the polls. The lowest he got was 73%. And some votes he got more than 80%. Now, when people compared, Americans compared, who is a terrorist? Bin Laden, Saddam Hussein or George Bush? Even in the BBC poll, George Bush swept the polls. Now, doesn't Barkha Dutt know about that? So very, very comfortably, they take what they want from the BBC and they don't take what they don't want, and this is not again publicized. It comes once and finish. So if Barkha Dutt is a woman of the media, the same BBC says that this is the public opinion. Has she said, come on BBC?
Yes, brother. The next questions. We'll have brother here.
Assalamu alaikum, Zakir bhai.
Wa alaikum assalam.
As I learned from you, alhamdulillah, you always quote that makaruhu wa makar Allah, wallahu khairul makirin. They make plan, Allah makes plan, and Allah is the best of planners. So similarly, I feel that the NDTV people, they kept your side and they had given you less than 4 minutes. And today, alhamdulillah.
Less than 3.5.
3.5. 3.5 minutes. And alhamdulillah, today you come up with the same topic and you are saying alhamdulillah more than 1 hour. So this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah. As I said that I am the bearded man, my father was not having a beard.
MashaAllah. So you're keeping out of free will. According to Kabir Khan.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. My mother, she was not wearing hijab. And I got a 5 sisters, alhamdulillah, all they are wearing hijab.
MashaAllah. You should give witness to Kabir Khan.
Yes, that is what I'm saying to Kabir Khan only. My wife is wearing hijab. Her mother was not wearing hijab. So I can dua to Kabir Khan, inshallah, biznillah. Maybe his son will keep the beard and
inshallah.
His daughter will wear the hijab.
Inshallah. If they watch Peace TV, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And I pray to Allah that may Kabir Khan also keep a beard.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So now my question is, Zakir bhai, now 1, 2, 3, 4 times you've seen all this channel people. Okay, they have cheated you, I can say that. They have wasted your time. So if they will call you again for any program, will you go for them?
That again depends. As I said, I'm not saying I'll never go for any talk shows again. I've been abroad on talk shows. As I say that I try and judge the integrity and the honesty and the intention of the person in the show. Maybe I judged NDTV earlier when they had an interview of mine, which was taken by Shekhar Gupta. It was wonderful. It was par excellence. Why? Because he didn't edit anything. Even though he may not have agreed with everything what I said, but he allowed me to speak. So therefore, one-to-one interview is far superior. Even there, a person who has an evil intention can alter many things. But Shekhar Gupta, editor-in-chief of Indian Express, same television channel NDTV. So I cannot say it is the NDTV agenda to malign Muslims. It may be the agenda of the We the People show. That's what the people always say, that you know. So maybe. So depending upon who calls me. But normally, after appearing for the show of Farooq Sheikh on Mard, I always put a condition, especially to the non-Islamic channels, that I will get my own camera, I will get my own crew and record. Some initially say yes, then they say no. Here they told no at the last moment. So they went a step further than the other channels. I have been invited by hundreds of talk shows by many channels. Again, as a policy, I don't attend because it's too much of time wastage. Coming there and spending hours and being allowed to speak for 3-4 minutes. Personally, because I already come on the channel. If a learned person who doesn't have exposure to the media, I feel he should yet go. He should go. Maybe the people get some hidayah. But here, because I come on the various channels, there are hundreds of millions of viewers, it will damage the information. So for me, I should be careful before I attend any show. But I cannot say I will not attend any in my life. I'll take the precaution, but rest I leave in the hands of Allah. As you rightly said, Allah says in Surah Imran chapter 3 verse 54, Makarullah wallahu khairul makirin. They planned and plotted, Allah too planned. Allah is the best of planners. So maybe because I attended the Farooq Sheikh's show, my intentions to launch a satellite channel became more firm. That I attended before Peace TV was launched. You know, what I say, that Salman Rushdie, the book he wrote about satanic verses is to be condemned. Net result, many people wanted to read this satanic verses of the Quran, and there are thousands of non-Muslims accepted Islam. 9/11, the attack on the Twin Towers, is to be condemned. Whoever did it is wrong, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. Whether George Bush or Bin Laden, whoever did it is wrong. That should be condemned. But the net result, whoever did it, net result, many people wanted to know what is this religion about Islam. And when I used to go to the Western country before 9/11, there were few non-Muslims used to come for my talk. Now when I go post 9/11, there are more non-Muslims attending the talk. So net result is that we have more opportunity to dawah. The act was wrong, but the end result, Islam is spreading faster. So more the media is maligning Islam, we find that Islam is spreading more. So if they have more such like these on the NDTV, I personally have no problem. Because Allah is there to take care of His deen and His religion. And somehow or the other, at the end of the day, it will surely be benefit for Islam.
Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Shah Rukh Khan sounded a little apologetic when he said something somewhere is wrong, but we have to adjust and bear with them. So how far we should adjust and why should we be apologetic? That's my question.
I don't know in which context are you telling about that. And everyone is talking about Shah Rukh Khan. I don't know which context he mentioned this. But yes, there are many people who are apologetic. I don't know whether Shah Rukh Khan was he or not that time. And in what context did you say that we should adjust? But normally, for a person, there are people who are many a time afraid to keep a beard, even if they want to keep, thinking that they can be victimized. In that context, if some people are getting afraid to keep a beard or wear a cap that they'll be recognized as Muslim and they'll be victimized, which a person should not get scared. But some people, the taqwa may not be that strong. And there are cases where riots take place in certain countries, in certain cities, and if out of fear someone does that, so may Allah forgive them. In this case, if somebody chooses certain things and don't choose, it depends upon them.
Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tanveer Sheikh. By profession, I'm a businessman. I have got two quick questions. Number one is, after watching the program, it appeared that Barka Dutt and Kabir Khan were trying to promote a new religion known as the moderate Islam, where everything that Islam permits is prohibited and everything that Islam prohibits is permitted in this religion. So your opinion about that? And number two, I have seen you in many live debates all over the world. How do you find the experience of a live debate as compared to a debate on TV show? Jazakallah.
As far as Barkhadat and Kabir Khan promoting moderate Muslim, that has been answered in the emails very clearly. I need not comment further. That when I spoke, if you see the full debate, I was asked only 4 questions by Barkhadat. And in these 4 questions, I was interjected by her more than 12 times. On average, every question she interjected thrice, not allowing me to complete. And Kabir Khan also interjected me thrice. So this shows that even if they give me 3.5 minutes, if they give 3.5 minutes to me, okay, speak for 3.5 minutes or speak 1 minute without interjection, I don't mind. I don't mind going on a show, even speak for 3 minutes, saying, okay, here you have got 3 times 1 minute and 1 time half minute, I've got no problem. Give me 4 times. But saying a sentence, 20 seconds, again interjecting, again asking the second question, this is an expertise of a person who's well versed. Not that I wasn't aware, but I being on the panel, not the moderator, I could not do anything. And same thing, when I spoke something, if she didn't interject, it was Kabir Khan. So one answer on average 4 times. Once by Kabir Khan and thrice by Barkhadat. But irrespective of what it is, I did make my point clear that Muslim is a person who submits his will to God. It's not submitting the will to Kabir or to Barkha. It's submitting the will to God. What's the will of God? Read the Quran. And Quran says, Rasul, you have to go to the Hadith. So if you want to know what a true Muslim is, you have to read the Quran and follow the commandments. Go to the Hadith and read, that's it. And any scholar will say anything, if it matches with Quran and Sahih Hadith, you follow. What I say also has got no value in Islam. If what I say matches with the Quran and Sahih Hadith, you follow it. So even if Barkhadat says something about Islam, if it matches with Quran and Sahih Hadith, you follow. If it doesn't match it, you leave it aside. As far as the difference between a live debate conducted in public and the debate conducted in a TV show, the difference is that in a live debate, when we have a public debate, and you have seen many of the debates that I've taken part in, it's a normal format is given. Each of the 2 speakers is given equal amount of time to speak, whether it be half an hour each, or 50 minutes each, or 1 hour each, or both are given chances twice. And the role of the moderator is to see to it that each speaker sticks to the time. Even though the topic is given, the speaker can sway from the topic, that's his will. It is the audience who is the judge. And the role of the moderator is to keep the time and to see to it that the questions are given equally to both the speakers, both having different views. In a TV talk show, it is not like the one we have in the public. When you have a TV talk show, the moderator is here also supposed to be neutral, which is never the case. In a panel debate, the moderator normally is not neutral. Rarely will you find a talk show in where the moderator is really moderate, means neutral, unbiased. Most of the time, depending upon the agenda of the moderator or of the producer, they can sway the debate. If the 2 people who are debating, the moderator may give more time to the view he or she likes and may give less time. There is no timekeeping like the way we have in a public debate. In this context, that is more fair. This is unfair, where a lot depends on the moderator and even on the producer. If he does not like the view of the person who has won the debate, in the post-production, he can chop off his answers. In the live debate, you cannot. So if a live debate is recorded and shown on the channel, that is far better. Fine, even a live debate can be edited, but since both the parties have a recording, if someone tries to edit and show a wrong version, the other party also has a copy. Here, if you tell that I'm coming on your TV show for a debate, let me get my cameras, no one will agree. Unless the intention of the moderator is clear and correct. They will say, okay, it is, it is our show, we are doing it for money, we are doing it for TRP. Tell them, okay, we'll record, you keep the cassette, give the cassette after reeling, after telecasting a show. So we have told that on many channels. Fine, if you fear that we record, we will show it before you. What you do, we'll record. You can keep your cassette, power cassette with you. Once you telecast the show, give our original back. They will never agree. Unless the intention of the moderator or the producer is nothing but showing the truth, he will allow you. But we have asked in India more than 100 times when I have been called for panel discussions or for TV interviews or for a panel debate that let us get our cameras. Initially they may agree, but before the show backed out. So this shows the intention of the moderator. So therefore I prefer having a public debate in the public rather than on the TV show.
We continue with comments from some of the websites, especially NDTV. There's Shazia Irshad who says, and now we have more media distortions regarding Islam. Barkha Dutt is a slick lady, simply brilliant, amazing manipulative skills, knows exactly when to interrupt so nothing earth-shattering is said by the learned Dr. Zakir Naik. We have Ahmadullah Tawfiqullah saying, Barkha didn't give time to Dr. Naik. It was a waste. Whenever Dr. Naik started giving any references, she quickly came in between and stopped him. The show was all about promoting My Name is Khan, Qurban, and people standing against hijab. Mansoor Ashraf says, this was the worst interview I have ever seen. The worst. NDTV has really got it terribly wrong. When you are talking about this issue, you bring SRK, Soha, who have no clue about Islam, and they clearly admitted that. And on the other hand, where is the logic in bringing Karan Johar? This leaves a really bad taste, but mashallah, Dr. Zakir gave his best in the limited time he was given. And lastly, we have Mona Hassan saying, I'm very sad that Dr. Naik wasn't given much chance to speak and to say what the correct Islam is all about. Dr. Naik is doing a great job. There are so many millions and millions of people who are getting benefited by him. He inspires many. The question before all of us is, what's the reality behind TV talk shows? The positive, the negative, and the in-between. We throw open the floor for questions from our brothers in the audience. Anyone who'd like to question Dr. Zakir, most welcome. Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad. Actually, in the program, I noticed that many of the panelists, as well as the anchor, they used a term called lunatic fringe, have started to represent Islam. If they were referring it to the Muslim scholars and orators, isn't this a derogatory remark? And I would like to ask one more question, that not only in this program, but usually in the media, when these kind of celebrities, like cricketers or film stars, politicians, they say that being a good human being, humanity is the most important aspect of Islam. Whereas I think that Tawheed is more superior. So I would like you to comment on this, and I would like Dr. Naik to tell all the Muslims that which is the most important aspect as far as Islam is concerned.
As far as the term lunatic fringe is concerned, in the talk show, as far as my memory goes, it was first used by Kabir Khan. And later on, it was used by other panelists, including Barkha Dutt. And he had a subtle way. What he meant was that the so-called scholars of Islam, that's what he meant. And it was really hitting below the belt. And yes, if it had to be used for anyone, I would say that the Vice Chancellor of Jamia Millia, it can be used for him because he had distorted views about Islam. As far as what is the most important point of a Muslim, what is the most important thing for a Muslim, people normally say that it is human values. I don't disagree with it. A person should be a good human being to be a good Muslim. A person cannot be a good Muslim without being a good human being. He has to be a good human being. A human being is a subset of a good Muslim. Being a good human being is a subset of a good Muslim. And what is the most important thing of being a Muslim? As we said, the first pillar of Islam, that's Tawheed. That is believing in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's also the most important thing of a good human being. Not only for Muslim, even the most important thing for a good human being is to thank his creator. So the most important thing for a human being and for a Muslim is to believe in the oneness of our creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to worship him and no one else. And the opposite, the biggest sin for a Muslim, or a biggest sin for any human being, is to worship somebody else besides Almighty God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or to associate partners with the Creator, Almighty God.
Any brother here? Questions? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My question is that you were telling about that 9/11 was an inside job at that time. Barkha interrupted you. How can you prove that 9/11 was an inside job?
Brother, I never said that 9/11 was inside job. I said this is the view of the people. Some people believe that. So when Barkhadat asked me, when she asked me on Osama bin Laden, and she asked my views on Osama bin Laden, and I said that I cannot base my views on BBC and CNN, because that's what the Quran says. Whenever you get information, check it up before you pass it on to the third person. So if I have to base my views on BBC and CNN, I have to agree that Osama bin Laden was a terrorist. Based on this, I said, I cannot give my opinion just on BBC and CNN. And then she goes on to say that, haven't you seen Al Jazeera? Yes, I've seen. But Al Jazeera, again, according to me, it is a part of the American conspiracy. It's controlled by the Americans. I've been to Al Jazeera channel, I've been to Qatar. I know many people who are on high post, and many have the opinion that Al Jazeera is controlled by the Americans. So why should the tape of Osama bin Laden be given only to Al Jazeera? Why not to other Muslim channels? Why not? Fine, again, what I told her, that I have seen even Al Jazeera, but I've even seen Loose Change. Now Loose Change, there are many documentaries that are available in America, made by the Americans, which prove that 9/11 was an inside job. And I, being a man of research, I told her, I keep on traveling, and I see the evidence from both the sides. Now logic and especially, there was an article that even came in Times of India, that there were 75 American scientists holding top posts in various universities who said that we cannot agree that 9/11 could have been done by few Arabs. It's impossible. And we are going to expose the truth. And they said that this has to be an inside job. Who? Not normal Americans, American scientists and professors. Now, here you have on one side American scientists and professors who are giving their view, and here you have clippings which are shown on Al Jazeera, which many of them say it is morphed. And as I give an example, that those who know the media well, and I give an example, that when they showed the Taliban beating the woman, one of the experts said, and there was a couple, Malaysian couple, who have been for a couple of months in Afghanistan. They're doctors, they are normal people, husband and wife, both of them doctors. And many of the people, they said that because they lived with Talibans, they know how the Taliban wear the turban. And what is shown on the BBC, CNN, National Geography, it is not the way the Taliban tie the turban. Because we, as non-Arabs, we do not find a difference in how the Saudi ties his turban, how does the Kuwaiti tie his turban, or Emirati. But these people know there's a different style. The Saudi Arab wears a turban, the Kuwaiti Arab wears a turban. First, it's the same. First, most of the Chinese look alike. But the Chinese know what is the difference between the different Chinese. And the same thing. Once it was asked to Yuan Redley that what is your view about Al-Qaeda. Now she was there, she lived with Taliban. She went to expose the Talibans. She went to expose the evil done by them. But when she goes to Afghanistan, she's arrested by the Talibans. And when she's arrested, she thinks now she's going to be slaughtered. She's going to be raped. And she thinks this is the last moment of her life. But they surround her, and she's wondering that the last day of the life. They surround her and they are silent, and she's wondering what happened. Then after a lot of, maybe a couple of hours, there's a lady who comes and checks whether she has any weapon. She's so irritated that if you wanted me to know, she puts up her skirts and shows that she has nothing. And all the Talibans turn away. They look the other side. So she's saying that to destroy the Talibans, even if you send some undergarments by plane and drop it, they'll be destroyed. That means how modest they are. This is said by a British reporter who goes to Afghanistan. And later on, she realizes the way they treated her. Before she was released on one condition. They didn't force her. They said, you promise us that will read the Quran. So she said that once she's released, she'll read the Quran. Only on that condition they left her. They didn't demand anything. And when she was released, when the media asked her, what happened? And she said that they treated me like a guest. After that, she was boycotted from the media. So this shows how the media is biased. And I have spoken to Yvonne Ridley personally. She's the reporter. So same way about the inside job. When you see these documentaries on 9/11 or Loose Change again is a documentary which gives various evidences why 9/11 was an inside job. And time will not permit me to give all details. If you see my video cassette, is terrorism a Muslim monopoly? And terrorism and jihad, I've spoken about this. Just to mention a few. They said that it's not possible that an aircraft, when it collides into the Twin Towers can crumble down. Immediately the person who constructed the Twin Tower said, it's not possible that the fuel of the aeroplane can melt the iron bars of the Twin Towers. It requires more than 2000 degrees, and that's not the degree of the fuel. 2000 degrees centigrade. It's impossible. Immediately, within 2 days, the person who made the statement was sacked. Similarly, those who spoke against 9/11, the 75 scientists, even they were sent on a long holiday. They were sacked. So when America speaks about freedom of speech, why do they don't want anyone to speak against them? Furthermore, they say that if a plane is going to crash into the Twin Towers, surely it's not possible to swirl the plane with so much accuracy. And to say that a few people did training just for a couple of months, even pilots who are experienced for 20 years, for 30 years, it's impossible to turn a Boeing jet with such accuracy. Furthermore, they give evidence. How do they give evidence? That someone spoke from the phone, from the mobile, from the plane. So what they're saying in that Loose Change, that mobile companies are spending millions of dollars to let the waves reach at such a height that the plane is. Now, how is it possible that the mobile phone could be heard from such a level? And what they say, that the person who spoke on the mobile, he speaks to his mother, Mark Bingham. So he tells his mother that I am Mark Bingham speaking. I am Mark Bingham speaking. Now, if I speak to my mother, I'll say I'm Zakir speaking. I'll say I'm Zakir Naik speaking. So no son will tell the surname to his mother. So this shows that that was again a gimmick or a planted evidence. I'm Mark Bingham speaking, and the whole plane is being sabotaged and we are being taken as hostage. So this shows that this was a sabotage. And furthermore, one of the air hostesses saying, oh, there are buildings, there is water. All the air hostesses know that building and water is there. So these evidence is shown. And furthermore, the plane that crashed into the Pentagon, they say that the CIA is so much well informed that even a bird cannot fly over the Pentagon. And imagine a plane comes and crashes into it. And the crater that was created by that plane was round. If a plane crashes into the Pentagon, besides the body of the plane, even the wings will make some dent in the building. There was no evidence of any wings found outside the Pentagon. It can be a torpedo which was sent. And several such evidences. You can give a lecture on that. I don't intend doing that. So based on this, I say that the evidence shown in Loose Change are far superior than what is shown on BBC and CNN. Yet, I'm not saying inside job. I said there are possibilities. Same with Bin Laden. I don't say that Bin Laden is not a terrorist. I said, I don't know. I don't say he's a terrorist, neither do I say he's a saint. I'm being neutral. Seeing the evidence on both the sides, Allahu Alam. But the evidence shown on the other side is far superior, far more logical. 75 scientists speaking, they're non-Muslims, they're Americans. Why should they speak against the government? Why should they speak in favor of Muslims? Do you think somebody has bribed them? And here, these people, 75 scientists, they give a reason. Why are they blaming Afghanistan? Because of oil. To have a pipeline through. So they're giving reasons. She said it's a conspiracy theory. I said all conspiracy theories are not conspiracy. It can either be a fact or a theory. So when she says such things, a conspiracy theory, which we have heard of it a lot, we have to hear it. And then let our intelligence judge which of the two is correct. If I have to give more weightage, I would give more weightage to the theory of inside job. Yet I'm calling it a theory, I'm calling it a fact. I'm saying it's a theory yet. Out of the two, that carries more weight, it's more logical, it's more scientific, it's more appealing. It exposes the media. But that wasn't given much of highlight because these media are being controlled by the governments. They are being controlled by wasted interest people. So that is the reason I say that media can be very dangerous. And I've discussed in detail in my talk, Media and Islam, War or Peace. Hope that answers the question.
And Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir. A few questions and comments from the websites. We have Roxana Parveen asking, as a world-renowned scholar, Dr. Zakir should have put certain conditions before the show. He has his own and best reputation among them. I think he has already answered that, but she says, further comment, without certain conditions, he could have just sent his son, would have been the youngest, yet most knowledgeable and more than sufficient person alone.
Inshallah.
I think we take that as already answered. We have Ajmal Rashid who says, okay, Arup, you're right. Be that person of any religion, terrorism should be condemned in all forms. But please tell me why the specific term Muslim terrorist is used and not Hindu terrorist or Christian terrorist or Zionist terrorist. This was the issue of debate that day. Stereotype. Zakir started with the same topic when he was interrupted. One more thing I want to add. I'm not supporting the term Hindu terrorist. I'm just saying Muslim terrorist terminology should be stopped too. Arif Muhammad says, and this debate was only to promote NDTV and nothing else. And indirectly, Barkha's so-called best journalist never allowed Zakir Naik to speak. In fact, he was speaking sense amongst all the nonsense people sitting there. Syed Ahmad says, Zakir Naik has never defended Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Rather, he said he is not sure who is behind that until he gets the truth. On the note, we throw the floor open for questions from the audience. Any brother here? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
I mean, during the show, a need was raised, like there should be a representative or a leader who can speak on behalf of Muslims. So how do you address this requirement? Jazakallah.
Yes, of course, I do agree. There should be a spokesman on behalf of the Muslims, on behalf of Islam, but that spokesperson should have knowledge of Islam, should have knowledge of Quran and Sahih Hadith, and besides having knowledge of Quran and Sahih Hadith, should also have knowledge of the media. As the Quran rightly says, that Allah says in the Quran, in Surah Nahl, chapter 16, verse 43, and Surah Anbiya, chapter number 21, verse number 7, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you don't know, ask the person who is knowledgeable. So we should have a spokesperson who has knowledge on Quran and Sahih Hadith, and should also have knowledge of the media. Because when he's coming on the media, he should know how the media can twist his words. So we should have a right person who has knowledge of both, so that he can present the media, and this is the only way how the misconceptions about Islam from the media can be removed.
Yes. Any brother? Yes, brother.
I would like to ask, why don't you arrange a panel discussion on Peace TV?
Why don't I have such a panel discussion on Peace TV? Yes, we can have. Not that we cannot have. Inshallah, if Allah wills. But not such a panel discussion. Panel discussion, not such a panel discussion. Such a panel discussion, twisting the view, would be un-Islamic. Even if someone pays me $1 million, I cannot do it. I'm not here to earn money. Such a panel discussion I can't have. Yes, but panel discussions, and we do have. We have had many discussions, group discussion we call, same as panel discussion, of scholars on the Peace TV English, also Peace TV Urdu. But we had very few times that a panel discussion along with audience. This is one of the few ones that we have. But normally when we have a panel discussion, we have a moderator who is mashallah honest and sees to it that he gives that opportunity without cutting the view of any particular panelist. We have had several. I think it's called in the Peace TV English, Islam under microscope. And in Peace TV Urdu, it's called as Ilmi Guftugu. Hope that answers the question.
Jazakallah. A few comments from the website. FRK says, Barkadat has not given enough chance to Dr. Zakir Naik to speak. Instead, she was asking more to those people with Shah Rukh Khan, Sohaili, Kabir Khan, who know nothing about Islam and presenting the wrong picture to all Muslims for their financial gains. We have Shumaila Siddiqui who says, a useless show. Barkha did unfair. This show was more for the publicity of My Name is Khan. It was just the wastage of the precious time of Dr. Zakir. Dr. Zakir should not attend such type of shows. They do not suit him. He is, mashallah, a great daya. He should not waste his time on such useless shows. May Allah protect Dr. Zakir from the enemies. Ameen. Ali says, they barely gave Dr. Zakir any time to explain facts on Islam, the most knowledgeable of the panelists, with the least amount of airtime to discuss Hindi films stereotyping Muslims. It was obvious they were not interested in learning how true Islam operates. I must commend Dr. Naik on the level of patience he displayed, as some of the panelists tried to give us a watered-down version of Islam and Barqa, that it was totally crap and biased attitude. Lastly, Irfan Jamal, he says, well, after a long sleep, I'm just reading all the comments from where I left yesterday night. I feel that Dr. Naik did make up his point in the very minute time which he got. He quoted the right verses at the right time. We continue on the discussion. TV talk shows. We are discussing this last TV talk show Dr. Zakir was on here 2 weeks back on NDTV, We the People program, dealing with stereotyping of Muslims and Muslim identity. May we have our next questions from the audience? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
During the show, Sohali Khan had said that she had read the Bible and parts of the Quran and Bhagavad Gita. And then she said that Islam is something between her and Allah. So I just wanted to ask you whether you agree with her view or...
As far as the statement that Islam is between her and Allah, that Islam is the personal thing between the human being and Allah, that definition per se is correct. It is personal. It is a personal relationship. But if suppose a person says that they belong to one particular religion, and if they don't follow the rules and regulations of religion and yet say that they are belonging to that religion, that's the problem. So someone has a personal relationship with Almighty God, that's correct. But to say that I am a Muslim and then I don't follow the rules of Quran and Sahih Hadith, this is hypocrisy. So then I said, say, okay, it's personal, it's my personal relationship, but I'm not a Muslim. To say I'm a Muslim means I submit my will to God. The will of God is mentioned in the Quran. The Quran says, Atiullah wa atiur Rasul, obey Allah and obey the Messenger. So it is hypocritical. But the statement, it is personal, that is right. But to say it is personal and then say, I'm a Muslim, or then say I'm a Christian and don't follow the teachings of the Bible. You say I'm a Hindu and don't follow the teachings of Hinduism, of the Vedas, that is hypocrisy. Similarly, if a person says he's a Muslim and doesn't follow the teachings of the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet, then he should not say he's a Muslim. He says, fine, I'm proud to be a non-Muslim. It's not a problem.
Few comments from the website again. We have Brother Muhammad Tawqir who says, Barkadat, the whole world could make out how unwilling you were to give Dr. Zakir Naik a chance to speak. You termed the show as being Muslims in today's India and allow the so-called stars of Bollywood to speak. Was it a show of reviewing movies? And are they as important topics concerning Indian Muslims? Barka, to hell with you, you have lost all the credibility. Dr. Zakir Naik and Madni Saab should have been given more time to speak and make others sit and listen. Then you all could have understood what Islam is all about and not the way the so-called Badshah had to explain. A disgusting show. NDTV has to apologize to both Dr. Naik and Madni Saab for inviting them and not giving a chance to them to speak. Muhammad Adil says, why the hell you invite a person like Dr. Zakir Naik and then in front of the whole world clearly do not allow him to complete his point? You think that with this, the practicing Muslims will support the film stars? We know the reality, alhamdulillah. Just don't unnecessarily fool the public by showing such nonsense where every XYZ starts defining Islam and the real scholars are called but not given the due time to put their views. SK says, Team NDTV, it feels very, very sorry you wasted Dr. Zakir Naik's precious time. And honestly, Barka, were you really interested to know what the Muslim identity is all about, or were you looking out for glamour goodies? The way you were busy with glamour people out there, it seemed as if asking the sweeper to do the heart surgery, a complete waste. Rizwan Basha says, as expected, when Dr. Naik was trying to say something, Barka said, I will come back to you, Zakir, but never got back on that particular discussion. And lastly, a question for Dr. Zakir. Zakir Naik, he is tuned to provide an explanatory answer on every single occasion. In the discussions like these, you get a focus time of about 15 to 30 seconds. If you first give an analogy and try to explain the real thing, by then the discussion moderator will cut you short, even before the analogy is complete. What remains in the audience will be the half-told analogy. In this fast food kind of situation, the answers have to be very quick. If it is not possible, then don't take part in this. That would be the best situation. It will be a complete waste of time of people like Dr. Zakir. His time is better spent in some other work than taking part here. If you look at Shah Rukh, he seems to be a master of these kind of discussions. He has 2-sentence answers for almost every question that is posed. If at all something can be done, then IRF will inshallah put some effort on coming up with 2-sentence answers, and then it will be worth a discussion to watch. There's another brother, Yavar Beg, who says, as Amanullah said earlier, Dr. Zakir must train himself to respond effectively on such shows if he wants to go on them. Personally, I would strongly advise against it. There is a difference between speaking on a TV channel your own and speaking in someone else's show. I would strongly advise staying away from controversial issues as they tend to bog you down, as happened. Though I must say, I respect Dr. Zakir Naik's courage and the stand he took. Not many have the courage to speak the truth in public. Dr. Zakir's comments.
As far as the first questioner, he said that a person should answer in less than 30 seconds and a person should be trained. And he calls Shah Rukh Khan as the person who is master in this game. I partly agree, I partly disagree. If you see the full show, Shah Rukh Khan was given more than 11.5 minutes to speak. I less than 3.5 minutes. And many a time he spoke more than 1 minute. So to say that a person should speak in less than half minute, it depends upon the moderator. If the moderator gives one person 11.5 minutes and the other person less than 3.5 minutes, and the questioner is saying that he was expert, that means he hasn't seen the show properly. Because Shah Rukh Khan spoke for 1 minute, 1.5 minutes many times, because he was not interrupted. Secondly, I do agree that the answer should be short. It cannot be the same as you give in a lecture. I do agree. But even if your answer is short, you can yet manipulate. And I gave a simple example that if someone asked me that what are your views about the policies of George Bush? And if I say the policies of George Bush are not good, they will chop off the knot and say that the policies of George Bush are good. So if you cut the knot, it becomes policies are good. So this statement, the policies of George Bush are not good, is hardly 10 seconds. Even that can be chopped. So the person who's giving the comment, I think, is not an expert in the media. I do agree it should be short. But if the intention of the moderator and the intention of the producer are not correct, are not honest, and if they're evil, I'm telling, even if you get the best expert, and since I'm a man of the media, if a best expert comes in front of me, and if I want to put him down by having evil intentions, which I will never do, but if just to show, you get me anyone. I will be the moderator, I will do the post-production, I will make him say what he does not believe also. It's very easy. I know this because I'm a man of the media. Not only do I give talks, I know post-production, I know handling the camera, I do editing, mashallah, I know what can be done. So what this person is saying is partly correct. But then for a person to say that a person should be trained and then come, the best trained person, if he comes for a TV talk show like this, and if the moderator has evil intention, and if the producer has evil intention, I should say should not go on the show. So to say that IRF should come with 1-line answers, we already have that on the internet. We have few second answers, we have got few minutes, we have got lectures of 1 hour. But a person with evil intention, if he's the moderator, or she's the moderator, or the producers, it's best not to go on such a show, or to have your own cameras recording it, or if such thing happens, as we receive emails from hundreds of the viewers, expose them. So this what we are doing today is exposing the truth. exposing what happens behind a talk show. Everything what you see on the channel may not be the reality.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir, for that candid comment. May we have some more queries from the audience? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother, Soha made a comment on the show saying that majority of the Muslims are represented by the so-called moderate Muslims who are not practicing. And Brother Najib also added that they comprise of almost 99% of them. So how important is the majority? And do you think that it really reflects or is responsible for what Islam actually is?
I disagree with the comments made by Soh Ali Khan and by Kabir Khan say 99% not practicing. Yes, he may be. If he says he is one of them, I've got no problem. But to say 99% are not practicing, I totally disagree. On the other hand, there may be many who are not practicing. But today, amongst all the religions, though on census form, according to statistics, the religion which has the maximum following is Christianity, has about more than 2.5 billion. But according to statistics, the religion which is maximum followed is Islam. The religion which is maximum practiced, it is Islam. Coming to your question, does majority carry a weight? No. If majority says 2 plus 2 equal to 3, does 2 plus 2 become 3? No. 2 plus 2 will remain 4. So it is not the majority which wins, it is the haqq which wins. So democracy sometimes has a problem. In democracy, majority says 2 plus 2 is equal to 3, then 2 plus 2 becomes 3, which is not the case. So in Islam, majority doesn't win, the truth wins. So to know about Islam, if majority people say that Muslim means a person living in Saudi Arabia or a person living in, maybe Lucknow, that doesn't become truth. So majority never wins, it is the truth which wins. So to know what is the definition of Muslim, you have to go to the dictionary. And there you find Muslim means a person who submits his will to God. So a Muslim is a person who follows the commandments of Almighty God and the last and final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Yes, brother.
Brother, while the show, Shah Rukh Khan made a comment about Salah, that namaz jo hai niyat se padhi jati hai, and he believes that namaz hamesha niyat se padhi jati hai. I would like to have your comments on it and the importance of Salah in Islam.
Yes, I do agree that Shah Rukh Khan had said that Salah is to be paid with. Niyat is very important. Intention is important. If there's no intention, then Salah will be like gymnastics. So I do agree with this. Therefore, I said many things he said was correct. Though he said it that Salah is important, but Barkha, do you pray? So here, she even wants to expose Shah Rukh Khan. He said it's important to pray, but she asked, do you pray? And then he said that, I have to admit I don't pray 5 times. That means when he made a positive comment about Islam, Barkha goes out of the way to expose him. And if a person says praying is good, at least he's not doing kufr. See, a person who says praying is not required, then he becomes a kafir. Based on the hadith of Sahih Muslim, that the difference between iman and kufr is salah. If a person does not pray and says it is required to pray, he's not a kafir. He's agreeing that it is a fard, it's important, but he is lacking it. He's not able to do the fard. So here, Shah Rukh Khan agreed that salah is important, and his statement that salah is paid with niyat is correct, but with niyat and also the way the Prophet showed us. So Prophet did say that niyat is important. Same thing with fasting. Without niyah, the fasting is useless. It will be like starvation. But with niyah also you have to follow the rules and regulations that you have to stop eating before the break of dawn, eating and drinking until sunset. Similarly in salah, besides niyah, even the postures as described by the Prophet. The Prophet said, pray as you see me pray. So salah is the second pillar of Islam after Tawheed, after believing in one God. The second most important pillar, it is salah. Why? Because salah, as I say, is a programming towards righteousness. It keeps you on the right track, and that is the reason it's mentioned in the Quran and several hadith that you should pray 5 times a day minimum. Hope that answers the question.
Any questions from the brothers? Yeah? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum, Zakir bhai.
Walaikum assalam.
This is regarding Kabir Khan. He said that I am a Muslim, but I reject all the rituals of Islam. But Islam is in my culture. So what's your comment on that?
Same thing, he says, I am a Muslim, but I reject the rituals of Islam. So how can he be Muslim? Rituals means the practices mentioned in the Quran and Sahih Hadith. The person who practices Islam is called as a Muslim. If he rejects the practice of Islam, how can he be called a Muslim? He can be called a pseudo-Muslim. You know, Islam is in my culture. See, the culture is different, Muslim culture is different, and Islam is different. Islamic culture includes the rituals. If you say Muslim culture, talking about the culture of the country, it is different. We're talking about Islamic culture. Islamic culture is part of Islam. So he says he doesn't follow the Islamic rituals, but follow the Islamic culture. I don't understand what he's trying to say. Is he speaking English?
A few comments from our website. We have Hasibullah Rahimi who says, I found this program a waste of time. Fayaz Salafi says, well, it was completely a flop show, wasting our precious time, where Dr. Zakir Naik was not given an opportunity to speak for truth, to convince all these illiterate Muslims as well as non-Muslims. Shah Rukh and Karan were given every possible moment to speak for nothing. Faria Wani says, the show was more about Shah Rukh, Karan, rather than Islam. That's funny, you ask about Islam to someone who himself says, I don't have much knowledge about Islam. Noreen Fatima says, I didn't like this program. It was nothing but a waste of time. Duration of the program was very limited. Plus, they invited too many guests. Barkha didn't give chance to Dr. Zakir. I think this program was to discuss movies, not Islam. I don't understand why these so-called liberal Muslims don't simply accept that they don't have courage to practice Islam. They are interested in worldly benefits only. And lastly, Ikra Chuktai says, what a waste of time. Barkha was really not interested in knowing about the Muslim identity. All she was busy was in cutting off Dr. Zakir Naik's comments and not letting him complete his point of view. How sad to see people with so much knowledge and education are still illiterate when it comes to seeking the knowledge of Islam. They are so very confused and very bad listeners. On this, may we have some comments or questions from the audience? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
In this present scenario, as we see that there is so much of media deceiving, and every day there is new channel that which is coming up by the non-Muslims, and they give a biased news. So how important it is for the Muslims to start their own news channels, and what steps is Peace TV and Dr. Zakir personally is taking to start a news channel? Please comment.
I do agree with you that in the present scenario, having a news channel is very important. But you say, what are the Muslims doing for news channels? There are many Muslims which have news channels, but they aren't Islamic channels. There are many Muslims who own news channels, but maybe they may be towing the same lines as the non-Muslims, trying to get a higher TRP, trying to present what is wanted by the people, rather than presenting the truth. So we have very few or hardly any news channel which would present the truth even if it would hurt them. A person who presents the truth, as long as it doesn't hurt them, is an average person. A person who presents falsehood for the benefit is a person who's not a good person. But the right person and the bold person, the truthful person is that which will present the truth even if it hurts the channel. So it requires such channels which speak the truth and which present what is right. As far as starting a news channel, it is there in my agenda. When will it happen? Allah alam. Allah knows. Whether we do it or somebody else will come and do it. But there's a dire need of having a channel which speaks the truth about the media, or rather having a true current affairs channel. I wouldn't say an Islamic channel, because we have Islamic channels already. What we require is a true current affairs channel which speaks the truth. And if a Muslim has done some crime, then the Muslim should be condemned after giving him a fair hearing. That doesn't mean that we should only praise the Muslims. There are black sheep in the community. So if that Muslim has done something wrong against humanity, against Islam, he should be condemned. But at the same time, we should expose those people who are trying to tarnish the image of Islam. Allah knows best when and how soon would this channel come up. But we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may He help the world have a true, unbiased news channel so that the world will come to know what is actually happening rather than show the things which will benefit a few people.
Our audience would, I'm sure, be interested in this critical comment, criticizing Dr. Zakir for going on this TV talk show. Is Dr. Javed Iqbal Bhatt. He writes in a newspaper article on the topic, The Problem of Being Naik. He says, Dr. Zakir's approach to debates and discussions is not only harmful to him, but also to his avid followers. Of all the errors made by the eminent Islamic scholar, Dr. Zakir Naik, none is perhaps more embarrassing. Some tend to replace embarrassing with serious. That his rash decision to enter into a studio of the NDTV. Even the little which he expressed was edited, broken and clipped to fit in with the scheme of We the People. Sandwiched between a temptingly clad Soha Ali Khan and a vice-chancellor of the Jamia Millia Islamia, he was a piteous picture. The chapter this was that heartthrob, with phenomenal memory, ended up loosening the screws of his millions of fans. Next time you tune into Peace TV, a cornered Zakir of the NDTV would flash in the mind. It was a serious error of judgment because he was pathetically unprepared. He seemed to have entered to deliver a sermon. A sermon is different from a debate. When everything else is snapped away, a sermon is a monologue. One person is permitted to speak without interruption. And similar comments from Dr. Javed. We would like Dr. Zakir to throw more light on this critic.
This is a comment that was earlier given in Amanullah, somewhat similar, but in a more lighter vein than Dr. Javed, that, you should be more prepared, etc. I'm a man of the media, and giving talks, having lectures, having debates is my profession, and I've trained many people. But again, what I would like to say, which I said earlier, that he himself was contradicting Dr. Javed when he says that Dr. Zakir Naik, he showed a pitiable picture and what he spoke was edited. So when he agrees that there is injustice done in the editing, how can he blame me? So what he should have said, that Dr. Zakir Naik did not realize that he would be edited or something like that would be much better. When he realized that these things are going to be edited, even if we get an expert, as I said earlier, even if we get an expert who's well versed in answering, if the intention of the moderator and the producer is evil and unjust and dishonest, the expert also cannot do anything. So the reason we appear, as I said, we didn't realize that the producer of the show, I don't know who it is, and the moderator would go to such limits in editing and not giving an opportunity for me to speak. Based on this, as is the policy that I have, as far as the viewers are concerned, I thought that would be the case. I thought. But when I downloaded the views of the fans, as I mentioned earlier, I thought what Dr. Javed thought, that maybe, the people would feel very sad. But when I downloaded the views of the people from the website of NDTV, Facebook, and the other websites, I realized that 2/3 were in my favor. It was rather exposing Barkhadat. And what you're reading now, everything is there. It's not only the positive ones are being said, even the negative ones are being said. So more than 2/3 have either realized, or maybe these are the people who know the media well and realize it wasn't given. And there were some who appreciated her, the way she handled, not knowing the scenario. So what I say, that those people, whenever they see any TV talk show, they should realize that talk shows per se, they are manipulative. What they do, that they either get a person who has less knowledge on that subject. So if it's the topic on Islam, they get a person who has no knowledge about Islam, and then he does the job. The moderator need not use the skills. Or on the other hand, they get a person who's famous and they cut him down, don't give a proper chance, like what Barkhadat did. Besides all these comments, besides interjecting me for more than 12 times, There is a way how a moderator knows when is the best time to ask a person. If you realized, when she started the show, she first asked Shah Rukh Khan a question. Then she kept on asking other people. She asked me second last or third last. Why? Because in the beginning of the show, the later you ask the person, the better it is. But when she ended the show and she said, now we'll have the final comments from the panelist, the first person she asked was me. Why? Because the first person you ask, his remarks would remain the least in the mind of the audience. So these things are well known by us, but we cannot do anything. And that's the reason I think Javed Iqbal was impressed by Barkhadat. And that's how he hit in these comments. And even in that last final comment, she asked me a comment, and I go to make a point that the Muslims should know how to answer the media. And I said that if we notice the incidents recently that came last month about the bomb blast that took place in Pune, in German bakery, where about 9 people were killed. It came as headlines. And suspect Muslims, suspect, mind you. And the same day, the Maoists, they killed 16 policemen. Proven by Maoists, no suspect. It either comes as news breeze or it comes on the front page below. Immediately Barkhadat interjected, no, even that came as headline, and she passed on without allowing me to complain. She knew very well the point was so strong, even if it came on the front page in most of the paper, including Times of India. The headline was 9 people killed in German bakery in Pune, suspects Muslims. Below in the front page, Maoists killed 16 policemen. Now, planning to kill 1 policeman is a bigger news than general innocent 9 citizens of India being killed. Killing 1 policeman who is supposed to uphold the law in the country is a bigger news than killing general pedestrians on the street. 9. And that also here, the person who has done that is known, confirmed. The news article is small. The German bakery, both are terrorist attacks. So she didn't allow me to complete, knowing very well that this point is very strong. No, even that came as headline, finished. So does it mean that she is asking me and she is not allowing me to complete? So just because I made a very strong point, she cuts me down. And then immediately to help her, you have Kabir Khan interjecting. So that means she didn't allow me to give the final comments. I spoke for less than 17 seconds. So as I told you, the steering wheel is in the hands of the moderator. So here, but people realized many a time. So for intelligent people who know the media, we can really see behind the scenes. But for general layman who are unaware of the media, so I think Javed Iqbal may not be well versed with the media. But if he knows the media well, he would have made that comment.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir. Thank you for your comments, which actually turned the tables over on the understanding when it was half cut. You completed the other half. MashaAllah, I think the audience gets more enlightened on that. The next question from the brother at the back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
There were 2 females from the audience who were discussing about the hijab. First, a Muslim female said that I wear a hijab and I will explain to those who are not wearing a hijab that you should wear a hijab as a Muslim. But then a Muslim female, another Muslim female, she said that she will explain to her. That means she thinks that it is wrong. So she doesn't find it wrong that not wearing a hijab is okay for her. So what are your comments on this compulsion of wearing a hijab as a Muslim?
Yes, I do agree that when Barkhadat asked, this girl was wearing a hijab, and she explained that she is wearing hijab out of free will. And then Barkhadat asked her that if another Muslim girl does not wear, would you mind? She said, I wouldn't mind, but I'll explain to her. That wasn't taken very well by Barkhadat. Neither one of the panelists, the Najib Jung. Oh, see, that is counseling. That's the problem. That's the problem with fanatic Muslims. He said something like that. That's not the problem. That's the problem with the practicing Muslim. It's not a problem. It is the duty of a practicing Muslim. As I mentioned, Quran says in Surah Al-Imran chapter